I'm Rin. Welcome to my channel. So I've decided to take 2 requests for the next few videos, those being Firefly and Sampo. Hope you guys don't mind it too much, but the poll is still going on for the High Cloud Quintet video, so I hope to see you guys voting on it, and we'll see where we end up. Anyway though, let's go on to the video now. So, Sampo. This was a build, that's for sure. There's a lot about his kit that I didn't really understand on how to build around, so I decided to go for a stranger build for him, simply to make it more lore accurate, but I think I did an okay job for him. First thing though, we need to set up the groundworks needed to create his character. That being, we need to figure out his race, class, ability scores, background feats, languages, proficiencies, and then his magic and equipment, and then we can write up an interesting story to slot him into the D&D world. Not too difficult, I think. Though there was a lot I needed to think about when making his character. But I hope you guys enjoy this video and stay tuned for the next ones that might be coming out not anytime soon, but soon enough, I guess. Let's get going then, though. Here's what I have for Sampo. This was not the easiest build for me, mainly because I wanted to capture a certain essence when it comes to his character that didn't work out as well as I had hoped. Sampo is a very mischievous kind of character, a silver-tongued salesman with a knack of causing trouble wherever he goes. I wanted to capture this part of him in the build, but I'm not too sure if I had done a good job or not with it. But let me know what you think though, if you agree with the build or not, and what you want to change about it. First thing though, for race, I was looking for one that had a high charisma bonus and landed on Feyblood specifically for him. Specifically the Dryashu subrace. I just really didn't want to make him a human, honestly. Mainly because I wanted to give him something that was unique and unlikely for other characters to pick. Something that fit his character type, and something that would make him stand out amongst the others. It gives him a +2 to his charisma, which was what I was looking for, as well as advantages against being charmed and illusion magic. And with the subrace, you get to become invisible if you're lightly obscured, and you get a +1 to your constitution. Perfect for the classes I gave him. Well, I like to think it that way anyway. I wanted to give him a bard multiclass at first, but I kept thinking about the fact that it didn't quite sit right with me, especially with his specific fighting style, and what we've seen in his interactions with others. So instead of bard, I went with 4 levels in rogue and 3 levels in artificer. Now hear me out now. I wanted to add his ultimate into his build, but I soon began to realize that bombs in D&D is a concept that is hard to figure out. So instead of giving him access to an item that is completely banned in most games, I decided to use a class that is also banned in most games, and flavor a spell to fit his ultimate instead. Is it going to work out? I don't know. I'm trying to have hope here. There's a reason why I only gave him 3 levels in it after all. For his rogue class, I went with Thief because, well, it suited him well in my opinion. Not what the subclass stands for, but the benefits that come with the subclass specifically. The cunning action to use your sleight of hand technique, and the ability to climb faster and jump farther is always useful to get off sticky situations with your angry customers, I'm just saying. Or maybe I just want to flavor it this way because I feel like it's more interesting that way. As for his artificer class, I gave him artillerist as a subclass, mainly because it's the closest you'll get to official bombs in this game. Yes, eldritch cannons aren't actually bombs, but it's what we can get. Here's what you get from it, and you can choose whichever one you want to use. Additionally, he gets proficiency in wood carving tools. That's all I'm gonna say about that because it's part of the subclass. For his artificer infusions, I kinda picked the ones that I felt was something he would use for himself. First being returning weapon, which he can use on his daggers for himself as a reference to his skill. I also gave him armor of tools to give himself access to artisan tools or thieves tools. They are integrated into the armor he wears for 8 hours, and you can use your intelligence modifier when using the tools for ability checks. I also added enhanced weapon that gives him a +1 to damage rolls, and repeating shot for any character who has a ranged weapon and wants a +1 to damage rolls, and ignore any property needed for refueling ammunitions. For ability scores, I made it so that his dexterity is his highest, then intelligence, then charisma. Next should be his constitution, strength, and then finally, I want to give the dump stat to his wisdom, mainly because it's not needed for building him. Now for background, I kinda just saw Charlatan and went for it. It makes sense, of course, especially with his dealings in Belobog. He practically became infamous in the city. That and it gives him additional abilities that will become helpful for a rogue character. Furthermore, for his feat, I decided to go with one that matched his description to a T, that being silver-tongued, giving him a buff to his charisma and pushing his deception proficiency even further than before. This ability also allows you to deceive your enemies during combat as well for one turn, which gives you advantage for an attack and prevents you from provoking an opportunity attack by the enemy either. It's a really neat ability, but it's also Unearthed Arcana. So if your DM doesn't allow it, I would pick Actor instead, which kind of fits Sparkle a lot better, but it does give Sampo a feel of Masked Fool's character. For languages, I kind of picked Abyssal mainly because I think it would be kind of fun. It makes the other players see you in a more suspicious light. It allows you to mess with them in a more indirect way and matches the idea of a masked fool playing their tricks on people. Also, just as a D&D player to another D&D player, be nice to your allies. You're playing a co-op game, so don't actually mess with them too much into starting an actual fight in the game. That's just a warning from me as someone who has sat through actual fights between D&D players. It's not fun and it's not nice. You can play Sampo however way you like, but I just want to make sure that this disclaimer is there for your DM's sanity. Anyway, for proficiencies, Artillerist already gave him the wood carving tool proficiency, so I also added smithing into the mix to kind of hint at his ability to make his own weapons and stuff, something like that. I gave him proficiency in investigation and arcana because of his work as a merchant, and I also added persuasion because of what happened during Belobog and his ability to persuade the Trailblazer into trusting him. Kinda. I also gave him expertise in deception and sleight of hand because it makes him more fun to play with all of that combined. For his magic, he doesn't have many choices when it comes to being an artificer. They're already limited in the range of spells that they have available to them and how many times you can cast it. Trust me, as someone who was determined to make an artificer work in their games, you don't really have that many range of spells to use. So I'll just name 4, the ones that I picked out for him. These are just my recommendations and what I think would work well on him. First is Mage Hand, a little ability which will allow you to play tricks on your opponents and steal some things without them noticing. Next is Shocking Grasp to give him a damage cantrip. I thought it was probably the most Sampo-esque cantrip that I could find. Something that is a bit more sneaky, where you just zap someone by grabbing them. Next is Disguise Self, which is always useful. And what I kind of used as an alternative to his ultimate, that being Tasha's Caustic Brew. You can flavor it as like an explosion of acid flying everywhere. Or if you wish, you can ask your DM if you want to switch from acid to something else that is more fitting for a bomb. Finally, for his equipment, I gave him 2 daggers and would add returning weapon on at least one of them. That's really my only recommendation. Of course, these are just my thoughts on it and how I would flavor everything to get the closest to what a true Sampo experience is. But look at where we are now. His backstory. How do we work with this? I kind of took some inspiration from how his story is written in-game, so I wanted to play around with it. I hope you guys don't mind it, but I took a lot of liberties with it as well. Here's what I have. That man. You're asking me about that man. I have nothing to say about him. He's an annoyance and a problem, you see. Always strutting around and causing trouble wherever he goes. You did not know about that? I've heard about the products that he sells to the people. Those healing potions that cause the people to lose their hair when they drink it. Those exotic spices that cause digestion problems. You can't trust a single word that he says, I'm telling you. You just cannot. What? Are you accusing me of something? I'm just telling you what I know. He cannot be trusted. A charlatan is always a charlatan, no matter how well he dresses himself. Where is he from? I'm not quite sure. I've heard the stories about him just appearing one day out of nowhere. Someone once told me he said he was a circus performer that got abandoned by his band of clowns. Another claimed he said he was a merchant from the Underdark, who got chased out by a party of drows he had conned by selling them fake idols of Loth. And yet another story believes that he's a messenger from a trickster god, sent to entertain them by annoying the common folk with his trickery and pranks. What is he? He's a terror. That's all that truly matters. But you do have a point. We don't really know anything about that man. Only that he's never to be trusted. What is it? Why are you curious about that man in the first place, anyway? You wish to become his customer or his next victim? It doesn't really matter to me what you do with your life. Just be aware of what you're bringing onto yourself. Once you become entangled with that man, there is never an escape from the madness that he brings. And that's where I'm calling it today. I hope you like the little shift in storytelling. I'm kind of happy with what I've done with it. There isn't a lot I actually know about Sampo, at least not yet. So I played a little into that, and it also allows you to come up with whatever story you want to tell with this character. A fun and interesting character with a lot of intrigue behind him. So this is what I've got built today. I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. Thank you for joining me here today, and it was nice to make this video. Like and subscribe if you like, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.